Ethan Mercer leaned back in his chair at the observatory, gazing at the endless starlit canvas above. The hum of computers and the occasional beep of a monitor were the only sound accompanying him during his night shift. His task was to monitor and analyze cosmic anomalies, a role that suited his contemplative nature. Suddenly, a series of unusual readings broke the monotony. The screen flashed with data from a distant star system, showing signals unlike any he had encountered before. His heartbeat quickened. Pulling up the data on multiple screens, Ethan began documenting every detail. "Alex, come take a look at this," Ethan called over the intercom. Moments later, Dr. Alex Rutherford, his colleague and an astrophysicist, joined him in the control room. "What's up?" Alex asked, peering over Ethan's shoulder at the flickering screens. "See this?" Ethan pointed at the graphs displaying the anomaly. "This isn't background noise. It's structured, repeating, almost rhythmic." Alex's eyes widened as he processed the information. "It's like a message." "Could be," Ethan replied, his voice a mix of excitement and skepticism. "Or a natural phenomenon we've never seen. We need to track its origin." The two worked through the night, triangulating the signal source. By dawn, they had pinpointed a small, seemingly insignificant planet in the Andromeda Galaxy. A week later, as the world's curiosity about the signal grew, a mysterious object entered Earth's atmosphere. It was sleek and silent, unlike any human-made spacecraft. The object landed in the open fields near the observatory, where Ethan and Alex were the first to arrive at the scene. As they approached, a panel on the side of the craft slid open, revealing a figure stepping into the Earth's light. It was a woman, her appearance humanoid but with an ethereal quality. Her skin shimmered with a subtle glow, and her eyes held the depth of the cosmos. Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady despite the awe he felt. "Hello, I'm Ethan Mercer, and this is Dr. Alex Rutherford. We receive your signal. Are you here in peace?" The woman nodded, her gaze gentle yet penetrating. "Yes, I come in peace. I am Ilara from the planet Athelion. I seek understanding and connection." Alex, practical as ever, chimed in. "How do we communicate with you? Do you understand us?" "I understand you," Ilara responded, her voice melodic and soothing. "My people can connect through many forms. Words are just one. But I see words are important to you." Ethan, feeling a profound sense of responsibility, asked, "What brought you to us?" Ilara's reply was simple yet profound. "Your signal reached us, a cry into the void. We too are listeners and watchers of the stars." We sensed a kinship. As they walked back towards the observatory, Ethan and Alex explained more about Earth, its cultures, and its history. Ilara listened intently, absorbing every word. "Your world is full of vibrant life and complex emotions," she observed. "It's much different from Athelion. We have much to learn from each other." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of this unexpected meeting. "And we have much to learn from you," he agreed. "Let's start by understanding where you come from." The day marked the beginning of an extraordinary dialogue, not just between two individuals, but between two civilizations, each eager to explore the vast unknown together. Chapter 2: The Silent Language. The morning after Ilara's arrival, Ethan and Alex met her at the observatory with a new resolve. They were accompanied by Dr. Kevin Lynn, a linguist renowned for his work on deciphering ancient scripts. Kevin's expertise would be invaluable in establishing effective communication with Ilara. "Good morning, Ilara," Kevin greeted her, offering a warm but cautious smile. "Ethan and Alex have told me a lot about you. I hope we can find a way to understand each other better." Ilara nodded, her expression serene. "I'm eager to learn your languages and share mine." Ethan led the group into a small conference room where they had set up recording devices and various linguistic analysis tools. "Let's start with something simple," he suggested. "Could you tell us how to say hello in your language?" Ilara tilted her head, considering the request. She then vocalized a series of melodic tones, each varying in pitch and length. Kevin, fascinated, attempted to mimic the sounds, but found it more challenging than he anticipated. "It's not just the sounds," Ilara explained, her voice a soft chime. "It's how you feel when you say them. Our language is as much emotional as it is verbal." Kevin's eyes lit up with understanding. "Like a kind of emotional resonance? That's revolutionary. It could change how we think about language itself." The men spent the morning trying different approaches to communicate. Ilara demonstrated her ability to convey complex ideas through simple gestures and subtle changes in her aura, her skin shimmering slightly with changes in her mood. Alex, always the skeptic, watched closely. So, you're saying you can basically read our emotions? In a way, yes, Ilara responded. It's more about feeling the underlying truths in each of you. Ethan saw an opportunity. Could you teach us to feel these truths as well? It might be possible, she mused, but it would require you to open your minds in ways you might not be used to. Determined to bridge their worlds, they agreed to Ielara's proposal. She guided them through a series of exercises similar to meditation, which focused on clearing the mind and sharpening the senses. Slowly, they began to notice subtle nuances in each other's expressions and tones. Kevin, especially, made significant progress. It's like learning to see color when you've only known shades of gray, he marveled. As the session continued, Ilara gradually began to pick up English, her pronunciation clear, and her syntax improving rapidly. Her capacity to learn was astonishing, and by the end of the day, she could engage in basic conversations. I'm understanding more now, she said, a slight smile curving her lips. Your language, it's beautiful in its complexity. Ethan felt a profound connection, not just to Ilara but to his colleagues as well. They had started the day as scientists and a subject, but they were ending it as fellow learners and friends. Today was incredible, Ethan admitted as they wrapped up. I think we're on the cusp of something truly amazing. Ielara's eyes twinkled, mirroring the stars outside. Yes, I feel it too. This is just the beginning. The chapter closed with the group looking out at the night sky, contemplating the vast possibilities. Their venture into unknown linguistic territories promised not only to expand their understanding of Ielara's culture, but also to deepen their understanding of their own humanity. Chapter 3. Cultural Exchange. The days following Ielara's linguistic breakthrough were filled with intense curiosity and exploration. Ethan, Alex, and Kevin, along with Dr. Marcus E., an anthropologist specializing in cultural assimilation, gathered at the observatory to delve deeper into Ielara's worldview and cultural practices. Let's talk about your society, Ilara. How do people on Athelion interact with each other? What's valued in your culture? Marcus began, notebook in hand, eager to document every detail. Ielara's eyes lit up, clearly pleased to share. In Athelion, we value harmony and understanding above all. Our interactions are grounded in empathy. We strive to connect at a soul level, which makes conflicts rare. Ethan was fascinated. How do you resolve disagreements if they do occur? We discuss them in communal gatherings where everyone shares their perspectives. We believe that many voices can create a single truth, she explained. Alex, intrigued, leaned in. Do you have leaders or some form of government? Ilara nodded. Yes, but our leaders are advisors rather than rulers. They are chosen for their wisdom and ability to empathize with multiple viewpoints. Marcus scribbled notes fervently. This is fascinating. It's quite different from any Earth-based governance systems. The conversation shifted as Kevin brought out a map of Earth. I'd like to show you some of the diversity we have here on our planet. Perhaps it can give you a better context for our questions. As they walked Ilara through various cultures and traditions, she was particularly struck by the concepts of art and music, which seemed to resonate with her deeply. On Athelion, we also have forms of art and music, but they are more about collective experience and less about individual expression, she shared. Eager to demonstrate, Ethan set up a projector and played a series of performances from iconic Earth musicians across genres. Ilara was mesmerized by the range of emotions and styles. This diversity is beautiful. It's a vivid contrast to our unified approach, she said, her voice tinged with wonder. Spurred by her interest, Alex proposed an outing. Why don't we take you to a local art gallery? There's a variety currently on display, from classical to contemporary. It might give you a broader perspective. The group agreed enthusiastically, and the next day, they ventured to the city's art museum. Ilara moved from one exhibit to another, absorbing the colors, techniques, and the emotions each piece evoked. Marcus observed her reactions. What do you think? How does it compare to Athelion art? It's so personal. Each artist speaks a unique language, Ilara reflected. I feel the individual energy in each work. The day ended with a visit to a live music venue where a jazz band was performing. The improvisational nature of jazz seemed to intrigue Ilara the most. It's like your music is alive, constantly changing and growing, she commented as the saxophonist launched into a soulful solo. As they headed back to the observatory, Ethan felt a sense of accomplishment. Today was a good day. I think we all learned a lot from each other. Yes, it was enlightening, Alara agreed. I'm beginning to see how your diversity is your strength. The chapter closed with the group sitting together back at the observatory, sharing their thoughts on the day. The experience had not only broadened Aelara's understanding of human culture, but also deepened the men's appreciation for the nuances of their own world. They had started as guides for Aelara, but through her eyes, they became students of their own planet. Chapter 4: The Human Soul. In the days following their cultural expedition, the atmosphere around the observatory shifted subtly. Inspired by the arts and the discussions, Ethan and his colleagues became more introspective about their own roles as hosts and as humans. They invited Aelara to participate in more personal aspects of human life, hoping to understand how she perceived human emotions and connections. One evening, as they gathered in the observatory's small library, Kevin initiated a conversation that was more philosophical than their usual scientific discussions. Alara, you've seen much of what we cherish as culture. How do you think this compares to what you've described about connecting on an emotional level on Athelion? Alara considered his question thoughtfully. Your culture is very expressive, very vibrant. It's externalized through art, music, and even your personal interactions. On Athelion, our emotions are more internal. We share them, but in a collective silence that speaks louder than words. Marcus, always eager to dig deeper, followed up. Do you think that's something you might be missing? This chaos of individual expression. It's different, Alara admitted, her voice soft. I see beauty in your chaos. It's intriguing, unsettling, but profoundly beautiful. Ethan, sensing the depth of the conversation, added, we often find our emotions difficult to manage. Sometimes they lead to conflicts or challenges. How is it that on Athelion you manage to maintain harmony? Our emotional connection is almost telepathic. We feel each other's emotions as if they were our own. It prevents misunderstanding and conflict, she explained. Alex, who had been listening intently, chimed in, I wonder what it would be like to share emotions that way. To truly understand someone else. Alara smiled, a shimmer passing briefly over her features. Would you like to try? She offered. The men exchanged glances, a mix of apprehension and curiosity in their eyes. Finally, Ethan nodded. Yes, we would. What followed was an extraordinary session where Alara guided each of them through a meditation-like process. She taught them to lower their mental barriers and to tune into the subtle frequencies of each other's emotional states. Kevin, usually the most skeptical, was the first to break the ensuing silence. I felt something. It's like I knew what you were feeling, Ethan, when you talked about your family earlier today. Ethan was surprised, the memory of his late father having surfaced during his meditation. That's exactly what I was thinking about. I didn't realize it was so apparent. Alara nodded. You shared a part of your soul just now. That's how we connect on Athelion. Moved by the experience, Marcus reflected aloud. It's a profound way to interact. No wonder you have such harmony. But it must require a lot of trust. It does, Alara confirmed. Trust and a willingness to be open and vulnerable. As the evening drew to a close, the group felt a newfound appreciation for each other. The experiment had not only shown them a glimpse of Athelion culture, but also revealed the depth of human connection achievable when barriers were set aside. Today was an incredible step for us, Ethan concluded as they started clearing the room. Alara, you've shown us that despite our differences, or perhaps because of them, there's a universal desire to connect and understand. Yes, Alara agreed, looking at each man in turn. And perhaps your chaos and our silence are not so different at all. Both seek understanding, just in different languages. The chapter ended with the men walking Alara back to her temporary quarters at the observatory, each lost in thought about the emotional landscapes they had explored together. They had started the day as colleagues and ended it feeling more like companions, connected by a shared experience of each other's inner worlds. Chapter 5: Love Beyond Borders. After the profound emotional exchange, the dynamics within the group began to subtly evolve. The barriers that once dictated formalities were now softened, allowing a more genuine and heartfelt interaction among them. It was during this new phase that Alara and Ethan found themselves drawn to each other with an intensity that neither fully understood yet. One late afternoon, as the sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, Ethan and Alara walked along a secluded path near the observatory. The rest of the team, sensing the growing connection between the two, had discreetly decided to give them space. Ethan broke the comfortable silence. Alara, have you ever experienced anything like what we're feeling? On Athelian, I mean. Alara smiled gently, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Emotions on Athelian are communal, shared. What we're experiencing now, this is far more personal. It's disconcerting, yet exhilarating. Ethan nodded, his heart racing. It's called falling in love on Earth. It's one of the most powerful experiences we can have as humans. Love, she repeated, the words strange yet beautiful on her lips. It's compelling. It's as if our earlier emotional sharing amplified something between us that was waiting to be awakened. As they continued to walk, Ethan took a bold step and reached out to hold her hand. Ayelara's hand trembled slightly, but didn't pull away. Instead, she squeezed his hand, affirming the connection. On Earth, when two people share feelings as we do, they often explore that connection through more than just words or emotions, Ethan explained, his voice barely above a whisper. What are you suggesting? Alara asked, her voice full of curiosity. In human terms, people who are in love sometimes express it physically, through touch, through kissing. It's another form of communication, Ethan said, searching her eyes for any signs of discomfort. Alara stopped walking, facing Ethan directly. I want to understand this fully. May I? Without waiting for an answer, she stood on her tiptoes and pressed her lips gently against his. The kiss was tentative at first, but as Ethan responded, it deepened, becoming a profound language of its own. They pulled away breathlessly after a moment, their eyes shining with a mixture of wonder and desire. This is love, then, Alara whispered, a connection that transcends words, gestures, even thoughts. Yes, Ethan replied, his voice thick with emotion. It's something we write poems about, sing songs about. It's what many of us spend our lives hoping to find. They resumed walking, hand in hand, in a comfortable silence that only those who have shared a truly intimate moment can appreciate. As they approached a small clearing, Ethan pointed towards the sky, now dotted with the first stars of the evening. Each star up there has been a part of countless human love stories. Now, it's part of ours too, he said, his voice steady but filled with awe. Alara leaned her head against his shoulder. And it's part of an Athelian story now too. This sharing across worlds, it's beautiful. Their conversation continued into the night, exploring not just each other's cultures but the possibilities of their future together. As they parted ways later that evening, there was a silent agreement that what was blossoming between them was something neither had planned but both deeply cherished. The chapter concluded with Ethan lying awake in his room, reflecting on the evening. The feelings he had for Ilara were unlike anything he had experienced before. They were intense, overwhelming, and yet profoundly comforting. He realized that their bond might challenge the boundaries of what was considered normal, but it was a challenge he was willing to embrace. Love, after all, knew no borders. Chapter 6, The Morning After. The sun had barely risen when Ethan found himself awake, reflecting on the emotions that had unfolded the previous evening. The depth of his feelings for Ilara was something he had never anticipated experiencing. He decided to seek out Alex, needing someone to confide in about the complexities of his newfound connection. Ethan found Alex in the observatory's main lounge, nursing a cup of coffee while looking over some data from their ongoing research. Morning, Ethan. You're up early, Alex remarked without looking up from his screens. Yeah, I couldn't sleep much, Ethan admitted, pouring himself a cup of coffee and sitting opposite Alex. I've been thinking about Ilara and everything that's happened. Alex set his tablet down, giving Ethan his full attention. It's a lot to take in. You two have gotten close. Really close. It's more than that, Alex. I think Ethan paused, searching for the right words, in love with her. That's heavy, man, but not surprising, given how you two are together. How are you feeling about all this? Alex asked, his tone supportive. It's overwhelming. I mean, she's from another world, Alex. There are no rules for this, no guidelines on how to navigate a relationship that spans galaxies, Ethan explained, running his hands through his hair. I can only imagine. But, Ethan, love doesn't have boundaries, right? Isn't that what makes it so powerful? Alex said, trying to offer some comfort. You're right, Ethan acknowledged, a slight smile breaking through his concern. It's just that the implications of this are huge. What does it mean for her mission here, for us, for everything? Before Alex could respond, Kevin entered the room, immediately sensing the serious atmosphere. Morning, guys. What's the crisis? Ethan chuckled despite himself. No crisis, just discussing life, love, and interstellar relationships. Kevin raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Sounds intense. Anything I can add to the conversation? Actually, yes, Ethan said, becoming more serious. I could use some different perspectives. Alara and we kissed last night. It's become something deep, something real. I'm trying to figure out where it goes from here. Wow, that's big, Kevin said, taking a seat. But look, Ethan, this is uncharted territory for all of us. Maybe it's not about figuring out the entire future, but just taking it one step at a time. Alex nodded in agreement. Kevin's right. You and Ilara have something unique. Why not just explore it without the pressure of having all the answers right now? Ethan considered their words, feeling the weight of his responsibilities lessen slightly with their support. Thanks, guys. I guess I've been so caught up in the implications that I forgot to just be in the moment. The conversation was interrupted by Ilara herself, who appeared at the entrance of the lounge. Good morning, she said, her voice calm and melodious as ever. Morning, Ilara. The men greeted in unison, with Ethan's eyes lingering on her a moment longer. I hope I'm not interrupting, Ilara said, looking between them. Not at all. We were just discussing some personal stuff. Feel free to join us, Alex invited. As Ilara sat down with them, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. The support of his friends gave him the confidence to face whatever challenges might arise from his relationship with Ilara. The chapter concluded with the group engaging in light conversation, discussing their plans for the day and the ongoing projects at the observatory. Ethan felt grateful for the normalcy the morning offered, and for the first time in a while, he felt truly at peace, surrounded by friends and warmed by the potential of his extraordinary relationship with Ilara. Chapter 7, The Decision. The revelation of Ethan and Ilara's relationship had subtly changed the dynamics within the observatory team. While everyone was supportive, the realization that Ilara might soon have to return to Athelion brought a sense of urgency to their interactions. One afternoon, the team gathered in the conference room to discuss the future, not just of their project, but of the personal ties that had been forged. Kevin broke the ice as they all settled in their seats. We've been avoiding the elephant in the room for a while now, he began, looking between Ethan and Ilara. Ilara, your mission, how does it end? What happens next? Ilara took a deep breath before responding. My people expect me to return with insights into human emotions and culture. I was meant to leave soon, but her voice trailed off as she glanced at Ethan. Ethan took her hand under the table, giving it a reassuring squeeze. We've been talking about this a lot. There's a possibility for me to go back with Ilara to Athelion. Alex's eyes widened. Really? Ethan, that's a huge step. Are you sure? It's not decided yet, Ethan clarified. But it's on the table. We're considering all our options. Marcus chimed in, his analytical mind kicking in. That could be a significant move, scientifically and personally. The first human to live on another planet? That's monumental. But it's more than just the scientific aspect, Ethan said, his tone serious. It's about us, about what Ilara and I have together. Kevin nodded thoughtfully. It's a unique opportunity, Ethan. But it's also a massive change. What about your life here? Your family, friends? Ethan sighed, the weight of the decision clear on his face. I know. It's not just about leaving Earth. It's about embracing a completely new world, literally. I've been thinking about it a lot. Ilara spoke up, her voice soft yet firm. I don't want to be the reason you leave everything behind, Ethan. This should be your choice, one that you make for yourself, not just for us. That's fair, Alex added. But Ethan, think about what you'd be gaining. Not just personally, but professionally. The chance to study a new civilization, their technology, their way of life. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The conversation paused as everyone reflected on the magnitude of what was being discussed. The room was filled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Finally, Marcus asked the question on everyone's mind. So, what do you think, Ethan? What does your gut tell you? Ethan looked around at his colleagues, his friends, and then at Ilara, who returned his gaze with a look of love and understanding. My gut tells me that this is important. Not just for me, but for all of us. For what we can learn, for what we can share with the world. But more than that, it's important for me and Ilara. I haven't made up my mind yet, but I'm seriously considering it. The group nodded, respecting his process. Kevin summed it up. Well, whatever you decide, we're here for you. This isn't just a scientific endeavor, it's a personal journey, and it's yours to make. As the meeting ended, the team dispersed, leaving Ethan and Ilara alone. They walked together towards the observatory's viewing deck, holding hands in silent support of one another. The chapter concluded with Ethan and Ilara looking out at the stars, contemplating their future together, wherever it might lead. It was a moment of profound possibility, underscored by the love and respect they had for each other and the extraordinary decisions that lay ahead. Chapter 8: The Farewell. The day had arrived sooner than anyone anticipated. Ielara's ship, dormant since her arrival, now hummed with life, ready to take her back to Athelion. Ethan stood in the hangar bay, his emotions a storm within him. Around him, Alex, Kevin, and Marcus lingered in silence, each of them grappling with the weight of the moment in their own way. It's surreal, Kevin muttered, breaking the silence. I mean, we've spent months learning about her world, connecting with her, and now it feels like saying goodbye to a part of ourselves. Alex placed a hand on Kevin's shoulder. That's because it is. She's changed us, changed how we see everything. Ethan didn't join in their conversation. He was too focused on Ilara, who was speaking with Marcus near the ship. She looked radiant, her skin shimmering faintly in the low light of the hangar. It struck Ethan how much she had become a part of his life, something so alien, yet now so vital to him. Finally, Ilara walked toward him, her expression unreadable. Ethan, she began, her voice softer than usual. It's time. Ethan swallowed hard, searching for the words that refused to come. I don't know how to say goodbye to you, he admitted. You don't have to, she replied, reaching out to touch his face. Her touch was warm, soothing. What we have doesn't end here. It will live on, no matter where we are. The others stepped back, giving them space. Alex nudged Kevin and whispered, let's give them a moment. This isn't our goodbye. As the team retreated to the edge of the hangar, Ilara and Ethan remained close, their foreheads almost touching. I want you to come with me, she said suddenly, her voice trembling. But only if it's truly what you want. I can't ask you to leave everything behind. Ethan closed his eyes, the conflict in his heart tearing him apart. Ilara, I thought about it endlessly. I love you. I want to be with you, but this isn't just about us. It's about what your mission means to humanity and to me. She nodded, understanding his unspoken decision. You've chosen to stay. I have to, Ethan said, his voice steady despite the tears welling in his eyes. But that doesn't mean I'm letting you go. What we have will always be with me. Always. Ielara's own eyes shimmered with unshed tears. And I will carry you with me, Ethan Mercer, wherever the stars take me. He leaned forward, their lips meeting in a kiss that spoke the words they couldn't. It was tender, lingering, filled with the kind of love that defied distance and time. When they finally pulled apart, Ilara smiled through her tears. You've shown me what it means to truly feel, Ethan. I will never forget that. And you've shown me a part of myself I didn't know existed, he replied, his voice breaking slightly. The sound of the ship's engines powering up signaled that their time was nearly over. Ilara stepped back, reluctantly releasing his hands. Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, Ilara, he whispered. As Ilara ascended the ramp into her ship, the others rejoined Ethan. Alex placed a hand on his shoulder while Kevin and Marcus stood silently, their expressions mirroring the bittersweet reality of the moment. The ship's doors closed, and moments later, it lifted off, disappearing into the night sky. Ethan stood there long after it was gone, staring at the empty space it had left behind. Do you think we'll ever see her again? Marcus asked quietly. I don't know, Ethan replied honestly, but I hope so. The group stood together in solidarity, their silence filled with unspoken gratitude for the experience they had shared. Later that night, Ethan returned to the viewing deck of the observatory, the stars above seeming closer than ever. As he gazed at the heavens, he felt a deep sense of connection, not just to Ilara but to the universe itself. She had shown him that love and understanding could bridge even the vastest distances. He smiled faintly as her words echoed in his mind. What we have doesn't end here. It will live on, no matter where we are. The chapter closed with Ethan sitting under the stars, ready to face whatever the future held, a heart forever marked by the love of a woman from another world. Subscribe HFY Universe for more.